Hey everybody, welcome to Fit Tip Tuesday. I have been working on the shorts for everybody sew along basically nonstop. And on Sunday, I had a second Zoom fitting for people who purchased the pattern and participating in the sew along. And I have to say, it was the shortest 3+ hours I have ever spent. I had so much fun working with these ladies. And many of them have wonderfully fit shorts now. This is super exciting. I want to share with you today a couple things. First, I want to announce the winners of my yay! I reached 1,000 followers on my Instagram. And for me, Instagram is one of those social media platforms that grows very slowly. So I got really excited when I reached the 1,000 mark. So if you're watching this and you don't follow me on Instagram, maybe head over and, follow me there, because then you'll get to see my behind the scenes and other things I post there. If you'd like to do that, that would make me very happy. But I just want to tell you the winners, which, by the way, they were picked totally at random. And the way you entered was to comment underneath the post on Instagram or here on my YouTube channel under my FabFit Friday last week what your favorite J Stern Designs pattern is, or if you haven't worked with a J Stern Designs pattern, which pattern looks like it would be fun for you to try. So all you had to do was comment, and if you commented in both places, you had two chances to win, because we randomly selected a winner from my Instagram and from my YouTube. So without any further to do, I'll start with YouTube. For YouTube, Claire Smith is the winner. And Claire, email me at jsterndesigns37@gmail.com and let me know which pattern you'd like. You can pick a PDF pattern or a print pattern. I'm happy to do either. So pick out the pattern you like, and you get that for free just for following along with me. And then on Instagram, the Instagram winner is Chamomile 315. So I don't really know who that is. I didn't research if there was a name attached to that, but if you're Chamomile 315, please email me at jsterndesigns37@gmail.com and tell me which pattern you'd like. So congratulations to the two of you, and thank you to everybody who follows along with me and sews with me or works with my patterns. I really can't tell you how much it means to me, that you guys follow along, because otherwise I'd be sitting here doing it by myself, and that's no fun. So I really appreciate each and every one of you. And just to let you know, if you're a little disappointed that you didn't win this time, no worries, because I am approaching 20,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So I will have an exciting contest for that when I reach that benchmark as well. I'm kind of excited to do these little giveaways. So if I can think of reasons to do a giveaway, I'm going to. So if you're watching this and you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe and click the little bell, because you'll get notified when I upload something new. And you'll get us to 20,000 subscribers faster, and then we can have the contest. So that's all my fun for giveaways and contest winners. Okay, so now what I want to do is, because I am in, basically we're working on shorts, but really it's pants fitting. I want to show you another way that you can transfer an adjustment from your muslin to your paper pattern. And one of the things that might happen is that in a muslin is you may have to scoop the crotch curve. And this can be a little bit intimidating to transfer to your paper pattern, because you've got a new curved line. And, I found that students really ask me quite frequently how to accurately transfer that. So I'm going to show you a way that you can transfer a scooped crotch to your paper pattern without having to guesstimate and draw a new line. Because if you're not, if that's not your strong suit, like drawing smooth curved lines, and you're just not sure you're going to do it right, I'm going to show you a way where you can do it without drawing the line. So first let's look at this scoop here. This is one of my muslins that I had been working on, and my final answer, or my final crotch shape, I highlighted in blue. Okay, so you can see that's what fit me well. So now I want to move it over to the pattern. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to measure the distance between the original seam and your scooped seam. I'm going to use red to highlight this for you. So see this right here on my inseam, this is my original seam right here. All right, so, and this is my adjusted seam. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure that distance. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that for you. And it's 1/2 inch. Okay, so what you're going to do then is you're going to go to your pattern, and I'm going to just start in the back here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just measure 1/2 inch down and make a mark, okay, on my pattern along the inseam. All right, that's the first guide you need. And then of course I can do that on the front as well, because we sewed straight across my inseam, so you have to make a like adjustment to your front and back. So if you sew through your inseam to scoop, make sure you're shortening both the front and back inseam the same. Okay, so that's the first step. Then I'm going to look at my pants, or my muslin here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the top of the seam down to where I joined the original seam. So I'm going to measure down from my waist. It's 7 inches. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pretend to measure 7 inches. This is not a full length, a full size pattern. So I'm just going to make a mark where, if I were doing my full size pattern, I would measure 7 inches. But let's just pretend that's how far down. This is where I rejoined my my original seam, 7 inches from the waist. The next thing I want to measure here is on the back side of the curve, I just want to measure how far I went straight before I started to curve. All right, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use that as a guide. So let's say in this instance it's 3 inches. Okay, so I'm going to measure down. And just to keep it proportional, I'm just going to measure down this far. Okay, so that's how far I went straight, and then I started to curve. Okay, so those are the guidelines you need. At that 3-inch mark where I started to curve, I just want to do another check on how far or where I started to blend in. So you can see from my original seam to my new seam was 1/2 inch. And if I measure across, I pretty much did that all the way across the bottom. And then as I started to curve around, I graduated to 3/8, and then gradually I got to 0. So over here where the crotch starts to curve in the back, I'm just going to make a 3/8 inch. I'm just going to make a note that this needs to come in 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to make a little 3/8 inch line here. Okay, so I've got my 1/2 inch, and I've got my 3/8 inch line, and then I've got my 0 line right there. All right, so that takes care of the back. Now in the front, let's look at our front. Okay, what I basically want to do is just sort of, measure, you can measure from the top the same way to where you blended back in. Usually you blend back in at the base of the zipper seam allowance. I actually cut off my zipper seam allowance, so I'm just going to measure from my top down to where I blended back in. We'll say that's 4 inches. So again, I'm just going to make a mark like I measured, like this is where it blends back in to the original. Okay, now here's the thing that confuses people sometimes. We measured between the original seam that we sewed and then where we scooped, the distance between those two seams. Sometimes people start to think about it and they're like, well, wait a minute, there's a seam allowance included on the edge of this pattern. All right, so we're going to ignore that fact to adjust the pattern, because as long as we trim off or move this curve in and down the amount that we need, basically once it's in the right position, then we can sew it. The seam allowances are still there. So I want you to just sort of forget about the seam allowances for now. All right, so now that I have all of my guidelines drawn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out that shape. And I have my original seam here. So what I'm going to do is, and this is the important thing, and this is where things can get screwed up when you're transferring a scoop. I'm going to draw a vertical guideline like this. Okay, that's the length, that's the distance to where my crotch point extends. And when you scoop down on your pants pattern, what happens is, as you scoop lower, the leg is getting more narrow along the inseam, and you're losing some of your horizontal space. So scooping in your muslin tests the fact that you need more sitting room, but I think it's better to leave the original horizontal space that you have. So this vertical line is going to be important, because what we're going to do here is I'm literally going to start where I blended back in. I'm going to hit my guide at the start of the curve, and then I'm just going to cut straight through my inseam like this. All right, and I'm going to cut that piece off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it down so that the tip of the original crotch point is now at that cut edge, or right where that mark is. And you can see what happened here is this works really well, because you can see I've overlapped my 1/2 inch at the inseam, and then I've overlapped 3/8 of an inch here, and pulling it down practically keeps this in line. Like, I'm not shifting it around side to side. I'm literally pulling it down, and I'm using this guide, this vertical line, as my guide. So see, what happens is when I bring that down, keeping the crotch point in the same position, it allows me to slide down and not lose any of my shape. So let me just tape this back in place here. Okay, so see, my guide is matching up here, and all of this just gets taped back together, and that allowed me to scoop lower and maintain my shape. And if I were just to highlight for you, okay, this is all overlapped. Okay, so it really does a good job of mirroring the scoop. Okay, so now it's lowered, and I didn't lose any of the length of my crotch point. So I'm just going to blend this in to match. Okay, so that takes care of my back. And then my front, we can do the similar thing. I'm going to put, and this is really the trick, to have this vertical grain, this vertical guideline here marking the position of the tip of the crotch in the front. So I'm going to just cut straight through and right up to here and cut that out. And again, I'm just going to slide this down. So so that it matches. And you're going to notice the more angled your inseams are, the more you're going to realize or see the fact that you're saving the original length. Okay, so in the front it's a little bit more dramatic because my inseam is a little bit more angled. Okay, so again, I'm just going to, fill this in like that. All right, so I just want to recap here. I trued this up by just extending that, and I hashed in where the pattern is overlapped to show you how it's scooped. And let me just put the front and back together here. I just want to stress that the important part of transferring the adjustment this way is to have this vertical guideline. So when you slide down the cut off scooped portion, you can just slide it down and line that up. That way you're not moving the position of the crotch, the tips of the crotch points, and you're not losing any of your horizontal space. Okay, so that's the important part. Then what I want to do is just show you, if we put it together here, how it looks. So I'm just lining up my two inseams here. Okay, you can see we still have a nice transition front to back. And then if I bring in my crotch curve here on my muslin, I just want to show you that it really does look just like, all right, so it's hard for me to show because this part's trying to fold it back so you can see. But you can see here, that's a pretty accurate transfer. Okay, so the scoop on my muslin looks very similar to the scoop on my pattern. So if you just do a visual check, you can see that my hashed or overlapped portion is very similar to the space between my scoop seam and the original seam along the crotch. Okay. All right, so that's another, an easy way, I think, to transfer the adjustments when you scoop your muslin onto your paper pattern. And I think maintaining those crotch points is really important, okay, because that'll help everything stay fitting nicely. Now I realize when you sew down deeper, you are shortening your crotch points, but this would be what I would consider fine-tuning it to be like the optimum thing, because if it's a little bit too loose in there, you can always take in your inseams. All right, so that's how I would transfer a scooping to your paper pattern. I just want to say that if you're following along in the shorts for Everybody Sew Along, on Friday, during FabFit Friday, I'm going to show you how to make a custom waistband, because on Sunday during the fitting session, we sewed strips of fabric to the top of our shorts and we darted out the excess if the waistband was gaping away from you. So that's what we did. I'm going to show how to take that fabric strip with darts in it and create a custom waistband on Friday. Then I'm going to show you how to sew the slash pockets we designed last week, as well as the front fly zipper. So if you missed that episode, go back and check it, and then join me on Friday this week for part 3 of the shorts for Everybody Sew Along. We're having so much fun, and I have to say, it really warms my heart because I've gotten several comments from different ladies in the sew along who have said that this is the best fitting pattern they've worked with. And actually somebody emailed me from Belgium to tell me that they couldn't follow along with me live because the time change was too drastic, but she wanted to let me know that the pattern was really a lifesaver for her because it had the low butt option for the crotch shape. And I just want everybody to know that I really appreciate you guys sewing along with me, because if you didn't, I'd be sewing by myself and that really wouldn't be any fun. So I'm really happy to hear that people are enjoying the pattern and getting good results with it. If you're just starting and you need help, please contact me. I will help you fit your pattern. I want everybody to have good shorts and nice, comfortable fitting shorts. And I just want to, again, congratulate Claire and Chamomile 315 for being the winners of the Yay, I Made It to 1,000 subscribers on my Instagram. So that was a lot of fun too. So I hope you're enjoying these little fit tips, and I will see you on Friday.